What's up, guys? So now everyone's back from Vegas after the FightPass Invitational. You know, all the dust has settled. So now we're just quickly going to go over some of the problems the guys had during the matches, and going about fixing those problems. So yeah, if you guys got any questions, feel free to start asking.
Haisam, if you could go back to your match, what would you have done differently before the overtime and during the overtime?
Yeah. So with my fight, after rewatching that again, I felt like I should have tried to push the pace more and trying to create more scrambles. I felt like I played my opponent's game more, like trying to chill and like trying to force something to happen. And during the regulations, which I feel like if I can go back, I should have paced myself a little bit more and like try to force scrambles, because I feel like I'm more to catch something is like off of scrambles. So yeah, that's something I would have done differently, trying to finish in the regulations.
Yeah, I feel like you're very dangerous, like going in and out. But something that I feel like you definitely do need to work on is just keeping a pace over time to just break people down.
Yeah.
Like it's super hard to just have like these like random attacks throughout a match and get a breakthrough. It's way easier to actually get a breakthrough when you're just tiring an opponent down over the entirety of the match, and then the breakthroughs become much easier once he's super tired.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Appreciate that.
Professor Nicky Rod. During my Roberto Jimenez match, I wrestled up, got to a body lock, and was attempting to body lock pass. Once I got the side control, I had the option of holding him down and going for control, or trying to chase submissions. Now, when I chase submissions, typically I either choose mounted position or north-south. Against Roberto, I was trying to transition north-south, and then he was able to scramble and escape. And I think it's really due to me not really having an exact technique that I go to for transitioning from side control to north-south, because I really just kind of use my athleticism, but I don't think I know the exact way I should be doing it.
Yeah, so like, can you use you, Haisam? Yeah, so if we're ever just in side control, and you said you passed with a body lock, right? Yeah. So you had your hands in a position like so. Yeah, so whenever I'm looking to transfer to a north-south, okay, the first thing I'm gonna look to do is I'm gonna look to unlock my hands and just kind of frame in this armpit here. And from here, I'm gonna look to just remove my tight waist hand. Now, when I actually go to transfer to north-south, okay, I don't want to just level change up, okay, because now I'm just creating space for his knees to come in, and exactly he can start facing me. So once we kind of insert this like reverse cross face, before I level change up, I just pummel my hand to the inside and I place it here on his near hip. Now when I go to level change up and circle around, when he tries to bring his knees in, I have my elbow in place so I can successfully get to north-south, and then you can start working to dig underneath elbows and then create either back exposure, go for kimuras, yokos. There's a bunch of different things you could do from there.
Is there specific reactions that you see from the bottom guy when you're transitioning to north-south?
It's either one, they're gonna try and bring knees inside, like I said, or two, it's going to be the turtle. And if they turtle, I normally like to go like crotch lock. So like if he's down, right, and I've transferred to north-south and he goes to start turning away, a lot of times what I'll do is I'll transfer to this crotch lock position, and then I'll start stepping my outside leg over and sliding this knee in, so I can start to pull him back into like crossbody ride situations where I can start to expose his back.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, those are like the two main reactions. One, they're either going to try and frame and get knees in, but as long as you pummel that hand to the hip, that'll kill that. And number two is to either try and turtle and turn away, in which case, yeah, I'll go crotch locked and then pull him back into crossbody rides.
Let me try this one. Pass. Pass the side control. Tight waist. Right hand comes to the block in the armpit, and you're retracting to the hip line?
Yes, I was pummeling my hand all the way through there, exactly. So now when you go around and he tries to bring this knee in, your arm's in the way. Now from here, if he goes to bring his arm across and turtle, to turn away, Haisam, what's the other way? Yeah. Then from here, you can go into like crotch lock, start stepping over, and then pulling him back.
We go one more time, side control. Here, how do you feel about controlling the hip with my left arm and then sprawling my left hip like almost cross body.
Yeah.
I feel like I have success with this, but sometimes against bigger guys like Haisam, they can get away from it.
No, yeah, I think that's the way to go about it, right? Like, it's the same concept as if I'm passing. Let's just scoot this way a little bit. So if I were to just try and pass from north-south, right, just kind of bring your knees up, okay, I would always, if I'm pummeling my right hand into this hip, that means my right hip is going to sprawl on the opposite shoulder. So it's exactly like you said. So I want to have control over this shoulder and this cross hip here, right? So if I was going to pass, I'd pummel my right arm inside, and then as I level change my forehead towards his belly button, I would be sprawling my right hip on the opposite side shoulder. That way when he tries to high leg with this leg, it's gonna be super difficult, and then we can kind of use a cupping grip to bring this knee out and secure like the pass. So yeah, if you're gonna look to control from side control, if my right arm is pummeled in, I want my hip sprawled on the opposite side shoulder.
Another situation I got into against Roberto Jimenez in this tournament, he was the only guy I didn't sub, and I was closer to a sub towards the end of our EBI round, but let me take your back, Haisam. On the first EBI round, when I was on Mr. Jimenez's back, let's see. As I was going for the choke, he kept lifting his left arm, like put your arm nice and high here, and it made it really difficult to get a proper bite, and I just ended up with like a kind of a shallow squeeze.
Yeah, this is a super common reaction. So yeah, let's say I'm on his back, right? And then as I'm going to get this arm around his neck, he's bringing this elbow high. So it's difficult to fully get through. Let's just rotate a little bit too so the camera can see, right? And you're probably gonna be down on your side here. So I'm trying to get this through, but he's elevating this up. A lot of times what I'll do is I'll just take a a straight grip like this, and I'll just push his hand along his head like so, and then I'll start feeding down to like cross grips like this. Now from here, I can start reaching for cross grips on the other arm, pushing him down, and then looking to use that to trap arms, or you can even just use a straight grip to push it down. So if he's in here, right, if I'm trying to get this hand through, it's gonna be super difficult with his hand up high. So I just grab like this. I can use a straight grip to push, and you can even just start immediately feeding arms around the neck and going for the strangle. But yeah, if that arm's up high, it's gonna be super difficult to get a deep bite around the neck. So just first focus on taking a straight grip like this, and then pushing the hand along the head. And then you can either use it to feed to cross grips, where you can start to trap arms, or you can just insert a hand around the neck because he doesn't have a primary defensive hand in, and then you can just lock up strangles.
Okay, thank you. Let's talk about why you lost the armbar, right? Because you have a really good armbar, and you were attacking your opponent's arm. So I would like to know what kind of decisions you could make better when attacking the arm.
Yeah, exactly. So my opponent, honestly, he was surprisingly very strong with his grips. So I had a hard time like trying to break it, because like initially I have a really strong break from, what's it called, the spiderweb, but that didn't work. And anytime I tried to reach down for his leg, he did a good job of keeping that away. So next now in like training room is more like to work on, finding a better break, and which actually I gotta ask you on that, like from that spiderweb was like one of the good ways to like break the opponent, and also like trying to reach for the leg as quick as possible, because if I allow them to like scoop away or turn the leg to the other side, it was very, very incredibly difficult to like get that armbar. But there's something we gotta fix on that, and then how to unlock the spider web too. Yeah,
so one of my favorite ways to actually go about breaking the grip. Okay, now ideally, like you said, okay, we want to scoop into this leg. Okay, in order for you to get on top, you need to be able to scissor your legs, right? So, exactly. But when I scoop inside this leg, it kills your ability to do that, so you just physically can't get on top now. Okay, so yeah, whenever like you're about to start, okay, you're forced to start with one hand on the mat, but as soon as that ref says go, you're just immediately committing down to your inside hip, and you're reaching for this leg. Now, my favorite way to actually go about breaking the grip is I like to take the leg that's across the body, and then from here, I just shoot my leg over the top like so, and I just lock up a figure 4. Now I start threatening this bicep slicer, so I'm gonna be like pushing against my own thigh as I retract my left elbow, and at the same time I'm just extending my legs like this until I can start to break this grip. Now most of the time people are gonna take their hand out, their other hand out, and they're gonna look to relock over top of my legs, exactly like this. But now now you may be able to lock a figure 4, but your arm's not inside, so now it's going to be a lot easier. So now from here, when I want to go about breaking this one, a lot of times I just focus on getting my left arm as high as I can. Now from here, I can take my right arm out, and then I can just look to hit your elbow as I commit down, and then we can start locking up this 3/4 juji for the finish. One other thing that I saw too, okay, is if you can't get control over this leg, and they do manage to actually come on top, so you manage to fully bridge on top like so, right? Yep. From here, you are still focused on trying to break the grip, but your goal from here should be to return him back down to the mat. So the way you do this is you scoop back into this far leg, and I just look to transfer my head all the way across like so. Now, once we're in this position, I can look to collect both legs. If I need to, I can remove my cross-face leg, and I can use this to walk along the mat as I commit back down to my right hip, and now I've returned you to the mat, and then I can focus on separating your arms.
I gotta see that last part again.
Yeah, so if you're down here, right? And before I'm able to scoop into this leg, you manage to bridge up on top. Yep, so now we're in here, okay, versus trying to just post this elbow and break the grip, which is gonna be difficult. What I wanna do is I wanna focus on scooping this outside leg, and then I focus on transferring my head all the way across like this. Now from here, I look to collect both legs. If I need to, I can remove my cross-face leg, and I can use, plant my toes in the mat and use this to drag my hips along the mat so I can get your whole body off the mat. Now from here, I can transfer across towards my inside hip, reinsert my cross-face leg, and then look to start separating your arms.
Haisam, would you like to try that on me?
Yeah. Back here. Boom.
Yeah, so the first one, the first one was, you managed to successfully scoop in the leg. Now, this leg stays where it was, and this leg transfers across. Now you lock up a figure 4, and now you extend your legs, and exactly. Now from here, you have a 3/4 juji. It depends what grips he takes. If he takes this grip, focus on, bring this arm in, take like a shallow grip, and use this to pull his elbow across to your other hip. Now from here, this arm's gonna come elbow deep at the wrist. So you're gonna keep his elbow on your left hip, and then from here, you're gonna go elbow deep all the way up at the wrist, and then you're gonna commit down towards your right hip towards me to help separate his arms. It'll kinda create like an Americana pressure and force him to let go of his grip, and then you can get the arm straight. Now this one, okay, he manages to bridge on top before, and start with the right arm in, exactly. Yeah, now from here you're gonna scoop, you're gonna transfer your head outside of his legs like so. Good, now from here you're gonna look to start scooping both legs. If you need to, you can, exactly, force them to roll through. Reinsert your cross-face leg, and then look to start separating his arms.
So from here, you just...
Yep, you can, it depends what grip he has. If he's like this, then from here, like, let me show you once. So like if he just has like an S grip, and we're in like a 3/4 juji here, okay, to separate his arms, all I do is I take his elbow towards my inside hip, right? So I kind of take a shallow grip with my left arm, and I transfer it to my inside hip. Then from here, my right arm comes elbow deep. Now I focus on getting my right elbow outside of my own knee, and then I fall towards my right hip as I extend my entire body to break his grip apart, and then we pull back towards the inside hip.
Can I try that one more time?
Yeah, so this one comes in. Now pull the elbow all the way across to this hip, good. Now you go elbow deep, right arm at the wrist, bring your right elbow outside your right knee, and then commit down towards your right shoulder to break his grip, exactly. And then you pull it back across the inside hip.
Awesome. Yes, sir. Thank you.
No worries.
Try that.
All right, boom, starting here. Here towards the legs. Keep your figure 4. Yep.
Yeah, so first one, yeah, you scoop into the leg successfully. You bring that up, you lock up your figure 4. You use that to separate his arms. Good.
And I'm fine if my feet are landing here.
So you want to, once his arms separate, yeah, ideally you want to end up in like a 3/4 GG like this.
So go figure 4 again, please. I'm trying to scoop the leg. Figure 4, boom.
Yep. Now as you extend through, yep, you force your legs close to the head, exactly. Now he relocks, so you pull elbow to your left hip, or no, sorry, yep, right hip. Then from here you go elbow deep, you fall towards the head. It creates like a Americana pressure, and then you pull the brake back over the inside hip.
This hip.
Yeah, exactly.
Let me do the other side as well. So here, figure 4. Try to catch the leg. Holy shit.
And you work on that flexibility. There you go. Yeah, you break his lock, he relocks. Yep, exactly.
Yeah, that's sick. What a good armbar. You escaped your guys' attack pretty well, right?
Yeah, the armbar escapes, yeah.
Yeah. Which escape did you use?
I kind of like turned into him, cleared the top leg, and just like trying to yank my hands out as fast as possible. Yeah, and because I got out on that second one so fast, I thought I was ahead.
Oh yeah, a little misunderstanding of the rules, yeah. Yeah, I think if you would have chose like a back position for the last one instead of spider, I think you would have won for sure. Yeah, because you on ride time you won the first 2 rounds. It was the third one that you lost on ride time, yeah.
I mean, we were watching your fight against Big Dan backstage. It was crazy. Was it the second round of the EBI? Yeah, the armbar, yeah. I mean, we saw it like from backstage. Like, how did it feel in that moment? Like, I'm sure people want to know about that too.
Yeah, so
did you feel any like pressure at all? Like, were you good the whole time?
Good question. So the first armbar, obviously I escaped super fast, 3 or 4 seconds. And then the second armbar, he was able to extend me. And upon the extension, I just because you have to allow your arm to extend sometimes and to fully extend in order to escape. But as soon as my arm was fully extended, I was anticipating to have feel breaking pressure, but I didn't. So I just continued to finagle my escape. I tried a few different escapes, and then I was able to get out. But yeah, it really wasn't that bad. I mean, it was just extended, but wasn't really hyperextended. And because I was able to rotate my wrist, my thumb downward, it gave me a lot better angle. So once I slipped my shoulder, I was able to give him a full turn.
Yeah. Also, I noticed that you were looking away with that.
Yeah,
you're looking away with the thumbs down. Yeah, that was a sick escape, man. we were going crazy backstage, that's for sure.
Good cornering by you as well, Nicky Rod.
Thank
Nicky
you.
Rod. That's good stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I would say like the biggest criticism I would have is what I said earlier. Like you guys are very good and dangerous at like going like in and out, in and out, in and out. But ideal situation is you want to have pressure over the entirety of the match, which will just, tire your opponents out, mentally break them, and that way it'll be a lot easier to get these submissions in regulation versus in overtime.
Yes, sir.
I think that like in your match with like Big Dan, once you're comfortable enough in like your high step passing and your loose outside passing, I think that's just gonna gas him out, and I think he'll start to break mentally in regulation versus in overtime. So I think that's when the subs in regulation will start coming.
I honestly agree. I definitely agree when you say get the high step, the loose passing together. But it's hard right now to tie in the constant pressure and then when to start applying things like high step. Because for me, I'm not as advanced as you are, so pressure to me is just like forcing like top half guard or forcing the knee shield, giving them some body weight to end up body locking. That's my idea of pressure. But when I see you grapple, especially on top position, I see the consistency in pressure. Even when you're outside passing, you still have a lot of pressure.
Yes, yeah. So like my idea of like pressure, especially when it comes to passing, is just getting past the hip line, right? Like if you watch like a lot of my rounds in training and stuff, it's like there won't be that many passes for the first 3-4 minutes. You know, there might not be any passes at all. But then after that 3 or 4 minute mark, that's when the passes start coming. You know, it'll be like 0 passes for the first 3 minutes, and then 7-8 passes for the next 7. So like any time that like if Haisam's just sitting in front of me or he's supine, right? Any time that I can just camp past my opponent's hip, okay, this is what I consider pressure from top position, okay? Because now from here, if I just have 2 ankle grips, right, I'm just leaning into him, I'm not expending any energy at all, but he's forced to be bringing his knees in towards his chest, okay? And if you just camp in this position for long periods of time and you go side to side with it, that's what's gonna start to tire your opponents out, and again, make getting those subs in regulation much easier.
What do you mean side to side? Do you mean just passing on both sides, or you're tying in like if he high step, high pommels? Like
yeah, so like a lot of people will start to high leg, so just using those reactions to go side to side, right? If I only try and camp on one side, okay, and he goes to high leg, it's going to be easy for him to square back up with me, and I won't be past that hip line anymore. So you need to get good at going side to side. So as he reacts and tries to high leg over, you use that reaction to transfer across back to the other side, so that way you're still past your opponent's hip line and you're still creating that pressure.
It's great advice.
So what's it like go to get to that north-south when you...
There's lots of different ways. Literally something as simple as just circling when you have a supine opponent with like inverted grips on the ankles, like this. Like if you're just supine, right? Something as simple as just taking an outside step. Okay, you start with 2 straight shin grips, and then just taking an outside step and transferring to an inverted grip. Now from here, it's super simple to just circle around. If you go to start high legging, I can catch the other ankle, and now I'm past your hip line, all the way up on the shoulder line, and it's, again, I'm expending no energy here, and you're forced to bring your knees to your chest, which is, requires a lot of energy if you're doing it over long periods of time.
What's gonna make you decide chase that north-south position or high step passing?
Well, a lot of times I just use high step passing to get to that north-south position.
Really?
So like if he's like supine again, right? Okay, a lot of times like I'll just step in here, I'll step through and I'll start high stepping. Then once I'm outside of his legs, I'll just continue circling around as I switch to 2 ankle grips. So now once again I'm in north-south. Okay, but it's perfectly fine to even just camp on the hip line like this. Again, like as long as I'm past the line of his hips, okay, it's going to be super tiring for him. Okay, so even if I'm not fully north-south, if I just have an ankle grip and a knee grip, I can still force his knees away from his chest, and it's still going to be, very tiring for him to retain guard. What do you think the reason was for Roberto escaping that first darce attempt?
The first darce attempt. So, first of all, it was like it was not too deep. It was kind of relatively shallow. I had like my hand, my knuckles instead of like my wrist in there. Sometimes I'm still fairly new to darce, so sometimes I'll flex my bicep too much, and it'll mess the grip up, right? Too much muscle in there.
Yeah.
Also, I feel like there's this point when I'm attacking the darce where Haisam, can you go front head? Yep. So where I'm attacking the darce, and I have to make the decision to where either I need to fully commit down towards the mat, or like knock them down in the opposing direction.
Yeah. So yeah, one thing that I noticed is I felt like you were a little too gung-ho on just trying to get the figure 4 locked versus breaking him down first. Because like from what I remember, what happened was you got him into like a front headlock here, right? And then he went to go start 4-pointing and standing up, right? And as he was 4-pointing and standing up, that's when you were trying to lock it, and then his head eventually slipped out, right? So instead, what I would recommend you do is, like you said, break him down first. Right, so if I'm in here, right, now I feel him starting to 4-point up. You go to start 4-pointing, right? I'm just going to transfer to this first, right? I'm not going to try and fully lock this figure 4 where he can start to slip his head. I'm just going to transfer to this first, and then I'm going to crunch his chin towards his chest as I flare my right elbow into his chest to start breaking him down to a hip. Now from here, it's safe to start shooting the arm through deeper and then locking up this figure 4. So versus just trying to immediately transfer the figure 4 as they're standing up, focus on breaking them down to a hip first and then going for the figure 4.
I really like that idea because you're going more control first that eventually leads to the submission instead of just slapping it on there over every action.
Yeah, exactly.
So you're playing with like the darce Japanese necktie?
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. We're just using that to mainly break him down to a hip first. That way he has to build back up to a turtle before he can stand all the way up. And that'll give you enough time to start locking up the darce.
Let me see if I can get this Japanese necktie. So, boom, here, deeper. And then once I'm here, I'm just looking to push him over, yeah.
Yep, exactly. You're like crunching his chin to his chest and then locking up the figure 4 versus just trying to shoot through as he's standing up where you could possibly lose the head.
Yeah. I think like when they are going from turtle to standing up, there's like a bit more space in the neck and the shoulder. So I get it occasionally, but I do feel if I was just able to understand the correct position to break him down to, like bring him down to a shoulder, I think that would lead to much more submissions.
Yeah, and you don't even need to use like that kind of like power half to break him down, or Japanese necktie to break him down. Like a lot of times you can just go back to a front head, look to circle, snap him back down to turtle, then transfer to that and use that to break him down. But yeah, like the only thing is like, like you don't want to just try and immediately shoot through and lock the figure 4 as he's building up for height, because that's when his head can start to slip out.
I be wanting the submission so bad sometimes.
Yes.
So like, it's right there. I want it.
So this is pretty much what we do, every day at B Team after class. I go to the guys, ask them questions. They come to me, ask me questions. So if you guys really enjoy this, either come through to B Team or make sure you like and subscribe on our YouTube. So yeah, thank you guys, and hope to see you here.